we give you an extended break and we'll talk to Rob Hackford maybe because we're now actually right at the 9 o'clock hour, Rob, so polls have closed.
Yeah, we've been getting updates about every 7 minutes through the AP here, and you can just see right there, New York, first results popping up here. Let's take a look at that. Let me refresh the page real quick and we can get a closer look. So this is going to be the early vote for the most part that we're seeing brought in. Nothing actually on the map yet, so that might be a projection from the AP here where you'd expect New York to head in the direction of the Democratic candidate. So let me switch here to another map as we tab through here and see if we have any of the other results coming in for the U.S. Senate race here with Kirsten Gillibrand and Michael Sapricone. Nothing there yet. So again, it is 9 o'clock exactly. So we've got to expect that the election officials are just putting in the data or pressing enter. Takes a few minutes perhaps or a few seconds for that result to then populate in their system and then get to us as well. So here again, let me refresh again the page here with Nick Langworthy and Thomas Carl running in the 23rd congressional race. Nothing there quite yet. But again, we are at that 9 o'clock hour where we have polls closed here in Western New York. You might still be in line, though, so stay in line if you are there. You can vote as long as you were in line before that. No results again here for the Lakes District with Claudia Tenney and David Wagenhauser. So let me flip through the next map here. And Tim Kennedy, the incumbent, they're running against Anthony Marecki. No results again. Let me refresh real quick. And it looks like we're just waiting on things to get loaded here in Erie County with polls closed across New York State. No results again for the presidential race, but the map for New York is blue. That's mostly projection I expect from the AP, given that the Democratic Party carries New York for the most part. We actually spoke with Jacob Neuheisel, another UB professor that talked about the tight House races. We've been thumbing through these other races here in Western New York. These are all pretty tied down. Republicans holding the 23rd and the 24th, the 26th with Tim Kennedy expected to continue on with him. But there's a tight margin here where Republicans are wanting to hold on to their control. We spoke to him about why Democrats and a few of them even downstate in New York are going to fight to ruin that control here. Take a listen.
Most projections show a fairly tight race for control of the House as well. And in most models that I've seen and in most projections, the Democrats are certainly advantaged in some of those seats that they're really going to need, some of which are actually downstate New York. And so there are a series of races downstate that are considered very competitive that the parties are both pouring lots and lots of money into that could, in fact, determine control of the House, much like it did in 2022, New York and also California to a lesser extent.
Yeah, those races include a familiar face as well in the 19th Congressional District with Mark Molinaro running against Riley down there. My colleague Nate Benson is in the newsroom now with some more numbers that we are just getting in. I saw Livingston County populate here, Nate, in the Lakes District with Claudia Tenney. They're reporting 31% of the vote. Tenney leading in that district kind of as we expected here. Nate, anything you want to add here?
I would love to add something, Rob, except we're not seeing the results come in yet in some of the Board of Elections websites because, again, the polls just closed within the last 4 or 5 minutes or so. As much as I would love for this to be instant like that, it's not. It is a lot quicker than, as my colleague Dave McKinley would tell you back in the day, they'd be showing video of them bringing in the ballot boxes, things like that. It's all digital now, but it's a lot quicker than it, of course, used to be. Having said that, the polls just closed in the last 5 minutes. Traditionally, we start seeing those results trickle in within the first 5 to 10 minutes. Certainly by 15, I'm getting some nods from our team here. There looks like they're going to be refreshing some numbers here in the next few minutes. We've got 190 races we're tracking, all on WGRZ.com. New York State Prop 1, Erie County District Attorney, all the state and Assembly and Senate races. We're going to be populating those race results here within the next few minutes. As the polls just closed a few minutes ago, we're going to finally get some of these first batches of numbers within the next few minutes. Hopefully, when you come back to me, maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, I've got a lot better news for you. It's not quite as instant, of course, as we would like, but we're getting some results here in the next few minutes, and we'll have that updated, of course. I think Scott and Mary Alice, I'm going to send it off to you now.
You've got it, Nate.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, Nate will work furiously to get those numbers as the Erie County Board of Elections releases those. In the meantime, let's talk with UB political science professor Sean Donahue because we've had some developments. Some states have now been called.
So we've seen that Texas has been called for
Donald Trump. Not much of a surprise. I think that some Democrats have long had this dream that Texas would eventually turn at least purple or blue,
Right.
and it doesn't seem like it's happened.
And Kamala Harris she was down there in Houston, I believe it was about a week ago. So she definitely went there a couple times.
With
They're a
Beyonce.
border state too. They're a
Right.
border state too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure that's certainly part of it. So no big surprises yet, but that brings President Trump up to 154 electoral votes. You know, we're all hanging on these results and wanting them sooner rather than later. And tell me a little bit about Florida, though, because they're obviously quick to turn theirs over. First of all, why are they getting them done so quickly? Is this all on the heels of 2000s with the hanging chads when they were kind of embarrassed nationally? They have come light years from there.
Yeah, so Florida has instituted a lot of different reforms there. And also the other thing is very few people in Florida vote on Election Day. Most people vote either by mail, and the ballots actually have to arrive by Election Day, and or people vote early in person. So, you know, well, in some counties, 70, 80, 90% of the people vote before Election Day.
Is it because it's an older population? Because
It's just the way, I think that's maybe some of it, but some of it's just the way that kind of the political tradition kind of has been lately in Florida, is that, you know, you have the big mail vote, the big early in-person vote, and they pre-process that a few days before the election. So whenever the polls close at 7 o'clock local time, because part of it's in the Eastern time zone, part of it in the Central time zone, you know, they can basically just kind of push a button and those numbers come out.
So not only has Florida been called for former President Trump, but also you've got news on the abortion amendment that was on the ballot. Tell us a little bit about that first.
Yes, so it's a little bit confusing because if you looked at the numbers, it passed 57 to 43. And normally that would be, okay, it won by a big margin, but Florida requires for a constitutional amendment that you have to have 60%.
Sure.
Depending
it failed.
Right, and this is the first one that has failed anywhere in the country. We'll see with the other states that have them tonight.
So what message does that send to the rest of the country?
Well, I mean, it sends something kind of interesting that Donald Trump got 56% of the vote in Florida, yet you had a number of his voters actually voted for an amendment to legalize abortion again in Florida.
How about that?
Right.
Yeah, very interesting development there. And again, when we talk about ticket splitting and you know how this election is just kind of defying so many of the traditions that we've had in the past. Let's talk a little bit too about the role of mainstream media versus social media and podcasts, because that's obviously been a game changer this time around, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, you saw both of the candidates trying to reach out in different ways to reach out to different people that might not be consuming mainstream media today. You know, you saw, I think you all mentioned Joe Rogan, you had Donald Trump and J.D. Vance on that, while Kamala Harris did not appear on there. I think there was some talk about doing it and it kind of fell through. You know, you saw.
Whether you like it or not, he has 20 million followers too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, you have, where somebody might have 20 million followers, but many of the other people in the country have never heard of some of these people.
Right, yeah, it's true. It's one of those things, because Kamala Harris didn't ignore social media, but she was much more selective on where she went. And I think she tried to work out some terms with Joe Rogan. She wanted a shorter interview. She only wanted 1 hour instead of 3.
And he wanted her to go there to his place also. It was a lot of different things.
Yeah. Should she not win, I'm sure that's one of the strategies that, you know, people are going to be, the Democratic Party anyway, will take a different look at as they start to do what they normally do, pick through the ashes the day after an election.
It's still early, but at 10 minutes past 9 on election night, which camp are you feeling might be a little bit happier at this hour right now? Well, still very early, obviously.
It is, and you know, I've put this as a caveat that most of the counties we have completely reported or nearly completely reported are more rural counties. But if you were to look on the New York Times' website, they have the blue arrow, red arrow. There's a lot of red arrows across the country.
But still, a lot of those states that we have, the battlegrounds we've been waiting to see, we still have yet to hear definitively which way they're going to go. So the night is still young.
Yeah, and it does not look like you're going to see a Kamala Harris landslide tonight.
That's pretty safe to say right now. All righty. Thanks very much, Sean.
You're welcome.